I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're starting this stream with a slight delay for not the best, but a slightly weird reason. I spilled something all over the kitchen, and I just had to clean it up first. Hopefully you weren't too bored waiting for the match that's about to happen. Basically, the Q1, this is the first out of the 4 international qualifying tournaments. The 4 horsemen of the Carcassonne Champions League 2026 is starting today. You can see the bracket for one of the groups. It's a bit more complicated. Basically, there's this big qualification tournament for everybody who finished 2nd and 3rd in the national online championships of their respective countries, and then they're split into 5 sub-tournaments, and we're focusing on this particular sub-tournament because it has a few very strong players. There are now 2 matches at the same time. Norberts 96, that's my teammate, that's Norberts Strautiņš, is playing Maticarrizo of Argentina. At the same time, Craft Giraffe will be playing Camaras of Spain. And then later on, there's going to be another match. Probably we're going to start with the main thing of the day. The system is very simple. It's double elimination. If you win your best of 3, you move on to the next round. If you lose your best of 3, then you're not eliminated, but you go to the loser's bracket, where if you lose one more time, then you do indeed get eliminated. You can see the ratings of the players here. 575 for Norberts, but overall a master with a peak in the lower 700s. Mati with a peak of the upper 600s. Not quite a master, but in very, very good shape, and maybe even in slightly better shape than Norberts at the moment. Norberts, however, is one of the most creative players I know, really, not just on the Latvian team, but in general manages to find out all kind of creative decisions for tricky situations. An aggressive scorer, that's one of his strengths. One of his weaknesses, maybe, is sometimes inattention to fields, which has cost him a couple of games in the Latvian online championships. So hopefully he will be able to have done his homework and to withstand the South American farming pressure, the infamous South American farming pressure from Mati. And looks, it does appear to be the case. Norbert is playing the green meeples here, Mati is with the red. And look what color farmer do we see here. Green is the first on the farm, being proactive here. That's very good because we're equal on the scoreboard, but red is 1 monastery ahead as a result. Green is trying to grab all kind of pieces for compensation, and of course this early farmer. Alrighty, so what else are we having? There's some city fights on the right where either neither or blocked or 2 blocked meeples will occur. Hi Napamai, hi Glavier, hi Sparkle Horsey. Alrighty. So, Mati starting a city on the right, which does not really change much about this here situation. Although, you know what? Maybe the intention of the play with the red meeples is to go here, block this square, and then use this here platform to just add more points to red city. This certainly would be annoying from red's perspective, from green's perspective, of course, but green is ahead on the scoreboard, so that's nice for them. They just finished a 4-point city off screen. Let me move it a little bit closer so that all of y'all can see this. Norberto, now with this here city cap tile, and he starts a new city, which makes a lot of sense. He also makes this square slightly more vulnerable, so there's some chances of blocking red city. Not anymore, as red gets himself a meeple back. This meeple also restricts this here square, making it much harder for red to get something like a quadruple city tile, let's say, and develop his side of the blocked city whilst also obstructing green's monastery. Not really something green wants to have happened. And ideally green wants to start drawing curves. So green wants to go here with a curve to develop his monastery and to permanently restrict, to fully restrict the expansion of this here red's city on the right. Then green wants to draw himself another curve to go over here to expand his field, to bring this here castle into the main field, and also to make sure that nobody, neither side, can draw crossroads and score 4 points for this here road. Norbert's kind of ending ended up discarding a tile, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatevs. And Mati just uses his meeple to start a counter field. And look at Norbert. He does something interesting. He doesn't bother even finishing the city at the top. Norbert's idea is to just play an unusual type of imbalance. It's just a field versus field. And look at what the players are doing. Like, instead of engaging in your classic Brazilian field fight, they are doing something a bit more modern, a little bit more cautious. They're each building the fields on their own sides. And Norbert is saying, I'm just going to draw more city caps and I'll have a bigger field. And you can't fight for that field because you've already invested your meeple on a smaller field. And Mati is saying, oh yeah? Well, I'm going to make this field a bigger field. I'm going to, with this here move, eliminate the platform which you could use to attack this field and also add more green squares for further development. Norbert just keeps building his own city. Mati now is definitely going to attack it, of course. And Norbert's now with an interesting tile again. He chooses to score 4 points, which makes a lot of sense, although this is not the prettiest tile to be doing so, because you see this idea of getting a curve, and with that, a field expansion to bring in this castle is no longer possible. So now both fields are roughly of equal sizes, although Green's field is a little bit better as a result of there being just more space for further development. There is also this here city, which eventually is probably going to be completed. But look at that! Mati using his green squares and drawing a splitter of his own, and now Norbert's might have to play catch-up. Yeah, this is not very often that you see this situation with these opposing farmers. Now, of course, the concept of a counter field is one which I've mentioned countless times. Oh no, Norberts, what are you doing? I mean, I think it's too risky. I don't like it. As this here Argentinian guy is just going to score points for everything. Look at this here field. It's a 12-point field now. But what I would have liked is for Norberts to, instead of spending his last meeple, to just score points here, or score points here, or do something. I could understand the idea, the greedy idea that Norbert had of eating this here city alive for like 15 points or so, but I thought it was just like a little bit too ambitious. Anyway, whatevs. It's not such a bad outcome. We forced our opponents to push into the city a little bit, finishing a shared feature in Green's field. Now, both of these farms were worth 12 points, and Red decides that Green's farm is worth attacking, so he drops a farmer here for 6, aiming to get another crossroads and eventually equalize his 6-point farm with a 12-point farm of Green. Green gets a crossroads, and of course, Green is not going to go over here. Green is going to score 4 points, and do so in a very smart way. Do you know what the purpose of the orientation of the road is like this? The idea is there are still crossroads in the deck. There are 4 of them. And Red eventually probably is going to draw one of them. And Red is going to go over here and score 4 points for this road. But then, as a result of this here road end, Red will leave us this here road through a curve for scoring. So we're going to get 4 points in compensation. Very neat. Anyway, so there's a little fight here on the left where basically Red is trying to build up his city and Norbert is trying to destroy it. Red temporarily gets a meeple advantage, freeing his monastery from the shared cluster. Green, of course, is 1 tile away from finishing his. Overall, a decent position for Green. But some issues here. These here 2 meeples on city caps, they need to find their homes soon enough, and we don't have that many city caps remaining, and that's why I was a bit skeptical of this move initially. Norbert scores 2 points for the road, intending to later permanently block this here road. And Mati could save it. And yes, he does save it. There are still 2 tiles that are left into this square, but still a minor gain for the player with the green meeples, because now the quadruple tile, the quadruple crossroads, does not fit there anymore. Hi Nauheim. Okay, we have ourselves a straight line. Doing well on the clock. 8 minutes with 20 tiles remaining. It's a little bit pressing, but it's fine. It should be enough to calculate the end game. Although Mati is just punching that clock button with 11 minutes. Giving Latvian fans, such as myself, a little bit of a reason to worry in the future. Alright, what do we do here for green? I know what we do. Remember how I talked about how it's a bit unusual when you have the concept of a counter field? Well, no, the concept of a counter field is unusual, but it's unusual to have a counter field when we have an equal number of meeples. These sort of positions tend to typically occur if one side overinvests in one of the farms. Now it's kind of equal. But there was this road monastery tile, one of those, available for this square to connect all the farms and to give a permanent majority for red on the gigantic farm, which is going to result after this unification. But this wise move from green, who found a way to extract value from a seemingly useless tile, makes it much, much harder, if not impossible, to accomplish that goal. Anyway, so Norberts gets his meeple back, but now his another meeple on the top is being burdened by this here cow tile, generously provided by Mati Carrizo. Yeah, it's a good move by Mati, of course. There are now plenty opportunities for him to draw another cow or a Dorito to go over here and block this here green guy. Now it's not going to happen, at least for a couple more turns, as he creates a platform to dig into the square, but Norberts quite easily is going to defend. And Norberts' time management makes me worried. Like, of course this is the move, Norberts, of course this is the move, but we didn't have to wait 15 seconds in order to do that. We're gonna need those precious, precious 15 seconds later. Now this is a move where we do need to think about it a little bit. So first of all, Mati just got themselves a good tile. With this Dorito tile, they were able to continue their city over here, and this is very nice for them. And we need to decide, do we have to do something about it right now? We could go over here and invade it. It would cost us a meeple though, and I really don't want to do it. We could go over here and try blocking it. It would not cost us a meeple, but it would cost us 2 points. And Norberts, being a tad risky here, decides to take the 2 points in this here area and leave Mati some chances to complete that city. I don't know if it's correct, but it is certainly a reasonable move for the Latvian to play there. And look at Mati. Mati is also scoring quick points. He is not too preoccupied with the idea of going over here and creating the threat of the completion of the city. And Mati, I think, is now slightly ahead as a result of this procedure. And by slightly, I mean like 6 points or 7 points overall. It is a little bit unpleasant, is it? Well, Norberts now is going to score 2 points. There are a couple of places where he can do that. There are 3 technically. One here, which is madness because it would be hurting his own meeple. And 2 places over here, between which there's not a great big deal of a difference. He goes for this, which is a natural move. +7 on the scoreboard, a curve for Mati, who can do a variety of things here. He chooses to block Norberts' city, which actually is not a very good move. Because, first of all, Norberts' city was not really threatening in the first place, I think. I don't know. Maybe it was. But the idea was that, you see, there's still one tile that fits into the square, right? And Norberts could very easily cover up with the city cap, and then get himself the last starting tile to fit into the square, That would net him some nice 14 points. One argument for this move, and I think I see why the Argentinian decided in favor of it, is the fact that Norberts already needs a starting tile over here. And actually, a starting tile is the only city cap that fits into this square, which is why I didn't like that move in the first place, because it put our meeple in such a vulnerable position. Norberts. We also have to deal with the fact that Red's looming threat, or Red's looming threat, to invade this here farm still hasn't gone anywhere because no crossroads have been drawn. There's still 2 of those remaining. So Norberts now needs to start trying to do something magical. He needs to try and draw very particular tiles. So what could we do? Option 1, we go here for a ring road, and we try to score a little bit and get a meeple back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the last curve. So that's why he decided not to do it, and Norbert went for option 2, which is this here, farmer. It's a very legit farmer. It's going to equalize this 12-pointer from Red. Red, of course, could go here and block this invasion, but there's still 1 road monastery remaining to complete that invasion. So if I were Red, I would do exactly what Red just now did. Takes 4 points for the road, invades the farm of Norberts, and makes it closer on the scoreboard. Norberts now with a fantastic tile possible available to him. He's going to go at the bottom, continue his city, and why there? Norberto, ¿por qué? I mean, I get his idea, right? He's trying to just build up, but why? Wasn't it better to just go here, right? Because we would be threatening to finish the city and drop a farm rate. It's kind of a very standard threat. And now instead, Mati can threaten things. And yeah, Norbert isn't really playing this one particularly well. Somebody needs to send good vibes to my teammate. You know what? I take that back. A fantastic move from Norbert. Very quick tile counting, blocking the entrance from Reds. But also, now that I think about it, maybe it's not such a fantastic move, because there's still a tile that fits into the square, namely the last crossroads. Like, Norbert is ahead on the scoreboard, technically. But Red has so many threats in this position. A city which is about to finish, a farmer which is about to invade, and like a bunch of other things, that Norberts needs to draw very particular tiles in order to win. So Norberts needs the starting tile for 2 reasons. He needs this for this here city, so that he could drop a farmer over here for 6 points and then maybe consider invading like this. Or at the very least, he needs the starting tile so that Red does not draw the starting tile, so that Red is not able to finish this here city on the left. Hi, Nicola. Ooh. Now time to catch my breath. For me, but not for Norberts. I told you early about this time trouble. You know, if you take 15 seconds, 10 seconds on every move, then you have issues like this when you have 1 minute and 25 seconds until the end of the game. That said, it's an absolute fantastic find from Norberts. It is almost an unblockable invasion to the main field through this here starting tile. It is actually quite beautiful. There's 1 more tile that's remaining into this square. Unfortunately for Norberts, he won't be able to draw a tile to connect over here, but he can still draw some good things. Of course, he successfully blocked the city on the left. Okay, Norberts gets the city cap. This is something. He connects to the field. Mati's going to take the 4 points at the bottom, and I think it's still GG. Wait. No, we can get the starting tile. No, is that enough? Is that enough? We can get 7 points with the starting tile, and we don't get it. Sad. Very sad. But also, I think it would not have worked anyway, because the idea is, if we get the starting tile here, we score 6, because we turn our 1-point city into a 4-point city, we get a meeple back, and we also get 3 points for the field with which we controlling with 2 versus 1 majority. But then this would mean that our opponent would have drawn this tile, and they would have claimed this here city over here for 9 points. Yeah, so instead, Mati gets himself a 6-point field. Basically, if the tiles were reversed, then Norberts would have netted himself only 3 more points, so it would not have made a difference. Yeah, excellent positional control from Mati. Really, you can't really fault the Argentinian player for anything other than defeating my teammate, for which I really don't appreciate. But yeah, Norberts really needs to maybe just get a little bit less creative for the next game. I think this is what we want. We want to have a bit more of a stable performance, because, you know, like, Norberts didn't get bad tiles, that's the thing. I mean, he managed to successfully complete all his blocks, but because he kind of was horsing around with the meeples for too long, like, he had ended up with 2 blocked cities. Wait, what's that about? How can we... Ah, there we go. Oh, the board game arena interface. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, this is weird. Nah, never mind. Basically, that's okay. Norbert's gonna do just fine, but maybe a little bit too many meeples spent on cities where at that stage of the game it was time to play a little bit more conservative, but whatever. Now Norberts gets the starting player advantage, and he gets himself the red meeples. Mati now has extra motivation for this game. He has... Oh wait, never mind. Norberts is the starting player, but he has a meeple on the road, and Mati has the 4 points on the scoreboard as a result of him finishing this 4-point city right now. Mati has 6 points right now as a result of completing a road. Norbert continues his road, and it's an equalish position. Red the slight favorite here. This is either a misclick or one of the most bizarre moves I have ever seen. I was saying that, like, Mati played the first game so well, and I'm still standing by it. This move looks like cooperative Carcassonne. Like, I'm not hallucinating, right? It was green who added a tile to red city. And it looks like it's sort of breaking that city, but not really. Norbert has now nicely covered it up. It's worth 4 points, and there is now a very straightforward pattern of completing this with 2 Doritos, 3 Doritos, maybe a triple city or something like this. Yeah, Norberts now is getting a considerable advantage here, especially after finishing this here 6-point road. Now, entering into a mini battle against this here green meeple. Yeah, the Latvian is doing very well for himself. Yes, exactly, Megamenche. What I was going to say is that Mati has extra motivations to win this, because if he wins this game, he crosses the 700 rating threshold for the first time in his life, becoming the 3rd Argentinian person ever to achieve this feat. So I'm gonna root double for Norbert. Just kidding. I hope that Mati achieves his master title tomorrow, just not today. Norberts is building up his city at the bottom. Mati's now trying desperately with a green fire extinguisher approach this here looming calamity. He really needs 2 Dorito tiles, or at least one of them, to equalize over here. And he gets one of them, undeservedly, but whatever. finishes the city, invades the city of Norberts. Norberts was so close to completing the city, to punishing Green for this weird move at the start. Okay, but now we see a mistake from Norberts as well. It's not necessarily a big mistake, but this here idea, invading the Green city through a square controlled by Red's monastery, can go south in many lines. If the square gets blocked, then Red just plays a meeple down, and I don't know, but whatevs. Norberts gets a good tile. As Mati starts a new road on the right, Norberts can use this road. Let me tell you how. If Red now goes over here, it's actually a perfectly safe move to do, but Red chooses not to do that, and I won't have time to explain why Red might have considered exploring this idea. Red's winning idea is to basically fight for this here city, and Red can still do that. Red can still totally do that. He goes over here, and he invades this here city, and now Mati needs to try and reinvade it. But do we get a Dorito? Yes, we do get a Dorito! We're going to invade that city so hard. Look at this. It's already worth 14 points, and upon completion, it's going to be 30. We just need one more city cap. Norberts does not get quite a city cap, but a decent tile to maybe continue that city. I think it's worth doing. But let's see what he comes up with. He could also just leave the square open and instead go over here and continue his city. And it's a very non-obvious move. I would probably spend at least half a minute on it if I'm Norberts. So what are the arguments for this move? Well, the arguments for this move are, first of all, 2 points. We save ourselves from blocking, and we unrestrict our city cap. We make it, how do you say? We make it a little bit easier for the city to be completed. But if we were to have played this move, which Norbert decided against, and I can totally understand him, then we would also have made it easier for our opponent to invade the city. Because now, of course, this here move from Mati is completely forced. He has to avert a disaster. He has to prevent us from completing the city. And he puts himself, Mati puts himself in a bit of a unpleasant situation because there are not that many tiles that fit into the square in the first place. So 3 of the regular Doritos have gone out, which means that either you have to wait for one of the 2 regular road Doritos, which you could maybe not even get at all, or you have to use a triple city, which would open up another platform for Red to bring a 3rd meeple into the city and win it outright. Now, we're going to see how this situation develops a little bit later. Now, in regional news from the south, Reds and Green are trying to block each other, and Green's the one who succeeds, getting 6 points for this here city and drawing the tile that Norberts kind of needed for this square. There's still one of those remaining, but after just 2 tiles, a tile here and a tile here, he will be able to probably do something about this. Anyway, oh, this is such a fun move from Norbert. First of all, I love it. The idea, of course, is very straightforward. The idea is we place our last meeple, we gamble, we bet our game on completing this here big 34 or 36 points monstrosity, depending on the shield situation. So Red is trying to get a Dorito and some other tile, a cow tile that goes over here. He's in fact an above 50% favorite to do that, and this puts Mati in a difficult position. There are several moves that Mati can consider. Option 1 is we go over here and will limit the square of green somewhat, of the square of red somewhat. But then red still has 3 road Dorito tiles to complete the connection, and then 2 tiles to go over here. So it does not seem strong enough. Option 2 is we can just ignore it. We can use our scoreboard advantage to build up some sort of compensation for the worst case scenario if our opponent does win the city. We can go over here on the right, start a new city. But option 3, and one which I wish Mati had explored for longer, was actually finishing a city for Norberts and giving him a meeple back and blocking yourself, yes, blocking yourself in a mini battle of minus 14 points just to make sure that we don't get that worst case scenario. Because I think from Norberts' perspective, I think from Norberts' perspective, like, if you just win the city, then you win the game regardless. Because 17 points on the scoreboard is not a great advantage. If Norbert manages to go over here and take over the city completely, he'll what? He'll score 34 of 36. It will put him at 42, and it will give him 3 meeples back. Sounds like insurmountable advantage to me. And this is why Norberts is very, very tempted by the idea, and he does not want to do the natural move just yet. The natural move is, of course, to go over here like this. And finish the city, get a meeple back, get the advantage in this mini battle. Honestly, it doesn't sound so bad. I think we should do it, but a move that Norbert is considering is to go for the jackpot. He could go over here and just make a city defense and then try to draw a triple city or a Dorito before our opponent draws his own Dorito to connect to the city. Because you know what the risk is? Green could still get one of these 2 Doritos and block us over here and equalize the city, and then we lose the game real hard. Yeah, it's a tricky decision for Norberts. Basically, the question that you gotta ask yourself is, if I go here and just finish the city and get 4 points and block my opponent from entering the city and keep myself the mini battle, how often do I win the game? And the more time passes, the closer the Latvian Master comes to the realization, I was gonna say, that maybe we do go for the jackpot. I mean, at least he considered it. I have a lot of respect for that. I have a lot of respect for this sort of consideration. Now, I think the reason why Norbert chose not to go for the jackpot is he figures that when he's only 13 points down on the scoreboard, and he's ahead in this here mini battle, he's going to have 14 points extra at the end of the game, and then he's kind of ahead, and then all Norberts needs to do is just get some meeples back, either from this area, or from this area, maybe. So let's see how Green chooses to keep his lead. Green goes over here, which makes it harder for Norberts to complete his monastery. The exact thing I was warning him about, but whatevs. And Norberts now goes for different jackpot. He sets up for himself, and only for himself, a 10-point city over here, which can be scored if he gets himself the last split a tile. Oh, look at this! Poor Norberts! Poor Norberts! Did you see what just happened? Did you see the tile draws? He must be kicking himself. Had the Latvian gone for the jackpot, he would have first of all drawn this tile to continue his city, and then immediately he drew this, so he would have completed himself a 34-point city or something like that. No, wait. 38-point city. No, wait. 36. Never mind. Still, large city. Yes, exactly, Nalaheim. It does hurt to see that. Nikolay is suggesting that setting up the giraffe was a Bad move. Well, it does appear so. I don't think it was a bad move at the time, but the outcome of that move is certainly unpleasant, as Norberts loses the coin flip as minus 27 points on the scoreboard, and yeah, it does hurt real hard. It's surprisingly still, it's actually a very winnable game, but it now relies on us drawing very specific tiles. Norberts is now going to get his city at the bottom blocked. Mati got himself the advantage on the field already, and I was going to say that the game is winnable if Norberts gets the Road Monastery, but Norberts very much does not get the Road Monastery, which would have been an excellent addition to this square for 18 points on the scoreboard, and then a Dorito over here, and everything would have been so lovely, but it's just not gonna work. Nothing's gonna work. Norberts recognizes that his monastery can no longer be saved and just gets himself 1 point. Mati goes for a spatial move, decides to sacrifice 2 points for the sake of blocking down the field, and Norberts gets a glimmer of hope here. Fantastic tile! 6 points on the scoreboard, and the meeple gets reinvested for a 9-point farm straight away. It is minus 25, but it is doable. Now we have another critical tile that we need to draw. We need to draw, as soon as possible, one of the 2 remaining road Doritos that go into this square and are going to free up this meeple without freeing up the road of green. Mati is now trying to block around. Norbert has the chance to defend. I think he should do it, and he does exactly that. Mati, with a starting tile, is going to consider starting a new city, or maybe going for an insurance farmer on the left, you never know. Or maybe going for a farmer over here, trying to equalize Norberts' farm at the bottom. On the bright side, it looks like we're about to witness a rare occasion how somebody becomes a Carcassonne master on stream. Especially since Mati would be only the 3rd Argentinian to do so. After, if I'm not mistaken, Ale Rosario and Santiago Iniguez. Or no, I don't think Rosario is a master yet. I think it is Big Nacho. Yeah, of course, it's Big Nacho. Who else? So basically Mati's not too concerned about Norberts meepling a field on the right. He just decides to develop his own field, which is currently worth 9 points. It could end up being worth 12. Mati with a scoring tile. Okay, well, blunders a little bit, I think. Actually, no, it's not a blunder. It's not a blunder. He had 3 points available over here, but the reason he chose to take 2 points over here is to eliminate some field connection opportunities, because there were some ninja farmers available for red to try and connect to the main field in the game. Little did green realize that it opened up the same opportunity, a slightly lower probability opportunity, but in a different part of the board, just 1 square to the right, it's possible to invade. Mati now with a farmer, which is worth 3 points, but by going over here, he could equalize Norbert's farm, or by going over here, he could expand his farmer from the top. Very nice placement here from the soon-to-become Argentinian master, probably. Oh, thank you, Megamenche, for confirming that Santi Blazer is not a master somehow. How is that possible? I thought he had played at a very high level. So Webiar is the second master, yeah. Anyway, looks like Argentina can have several more soon enough. There are just so many candidates. Santi certainly is one of them, and Mati is probably going to become one soon-ish, unless Norberts draws the Dorito tile like super soon. You know, guys, like this really, it ain't over. Okay, so let's say Norberts does get the Dorito. He's going to get 8 for the city, that's 24, 6 for the farm. This 2 in this mini battle is 26. 8 for this monastery, compared to this farm, cancel each other out. He could block over here, get 6 extra at 32. Hey! Hey! If Norberts gets this here tile, which he really needs, there's still one more of those remaining, he's going to go here, he's going to be ahead. Norberts is going to be ahead in this game. Mati, of course, still has some other threats. I think he can still connect over here, yes. There's one tile and one tile only that would allow him to do that. If he gets a regular Dorito, the last one of its kind, then he is going to enter this here field. Yeah, and he does make the setup. He's even thinking of meepling this, which seemed a little bit extra if you ask me. Because now, wait, can Norberts win without finishing his city? Well, maybe not, but at least Norberts can win if he draws both Doritos, the road Dorito and the field Dorito. And Norberts is trying to do exactly this. He's not going to even attempt any sort of blocks. He is going to just try and score quick points with his one remaining meeple. I hope that he sees this here move, which is going to give him 3 points and allow him to continue his city like this. The Latvian is still in this. He finds the move. Also, Mati misses some scoring opportunities. With this here tile, he could have actually expanded his field at the bottom, but he seems to be really betting on this here area. Norberto. With the monastery, no good places for it. He needs to wait for the Dorito tile just so that he can drop the 6-point farmer. I think maybe we just go over here on the left, try to set up some sort of something. Well, the Dorito has been drawn by Mati Carrizo. It's going to give him as many as 8 points on this move, and Norberts does not get the tile that he needs. He gets a scoring tile, of course, which is, of course, nice. And maybe he can still score with his last meeple if he does get the road Dorito, if he does get to fill that square. But unfortunately, the Latvian is going to end up with a meeple surplus. And now I wonder if he's facing the prospect of green completing his city on the left. I don't think he is. I don't think there are city caps, but it's something that Norbert is going to need to double check first. It would be annoying, but it is possible that the correct move might be to go over here and block. I don't think that it is. I think that the last remaining tile is a curve. Ah! Which actually, maybe Norberts doesn't even have to bother with this here guy. Maybe Norberts, instead of drawing the Dorito, can draw the curve. He can go over here and try to get himself a 12-point field. Yeah, so the Latvian is counting points. If we go over here and we get the curve, we get 12, but our opponent gets the last shielded Dorito and gets 2, so we net 10 points. If we ignore of that, we just take 3 points over here, our opponent gets the curve, we score, or they score 0, we get over here, we score 7 for the city extra, 6 for the farm, and -2 for completing our opponent's road. We net 14 points. which means that the correct move is to not be fancy and just take quick points. Well, at least we have to make some sort of decision in the last 30 seconds of this match. I'm going to say, well, Norberts goes for the curve, and he guesses correctly, so that's nice. Mati gets the Dorito. Norberts going to be happy to score 10 right now, which I think is mildly not enough. I don't know the exact score, but I think Mati wins this by single digits. And he's now going to spend 5 minutes and decide which way do I rotate this Dorito. Actually, you know what? Mati can lose this game still. If he hallucinates and accidentally goes here and finishes the city of Norberts. You know, it's possible, like, what if we just get nervous or something? No nervousness, the Argentinian, soon-to-become master, is experienced enough in tournaments that he's not going to do something this silly. And we're going to see the score difference soon enough. Yeah, that city is very nice. That city was worth 8 points for green. And 10 points is the difference overall. So this means, again, until the very end, there were paths to victory for Norberts. Yeah, for example, with this Dorito, that's already like multiple extra points. Anyway, commiserations to my teammate, but excellently played here by Mati. And congratulations on his master title. Congratulations to the entire team Argentina. I am happy for him. I only wish that the master title would have been achieved at somebody else's expense. Alrighty, but we can go into the next match. So the next match, it gets a little bit more complicated there because this is from a different... This is even from an entirely different qualification group. So this was Q1. This was for the second place finishes of national championships and so on. Mati advances to the next round against either Kraft, Giraffe, or Camares, and who is that going to be? Okay, Kraft, Giraffe is ahead. So let's say that he's probably going to be playing against Crafty, maybe, unless Camares makes a comeback. And Norbert's going to be descending over here, playing against Camares, yeah, in the loser brackets. Doable for Norbert, but it's an uphill climb. Alrighty. Now going to the second match of the day. This is Q3. The third qualification tournament is for winners of international competitions. Nice Dicer. This Tom D. Schmidt is there. Wait, why am I talking about Nice Dicer? Never mind him. Never mind him. We have ourselves Foam. That's Pedro Antunes, who lost in the first round. So this is from the losers bracket. So whoever loses this gets eliminated. Pedro's here actually as a result of fan voting, interesting. And the Alchemist, this is Horacio Mastandrea from Uruguay, is there because he was the second place finisher at the in-person World Championship this year. The first place finisher, of course, gets an automatic spot in the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League. And these guys are still playing their first game, so that's nice. So we actually get to watch a lot of Carcassonne today. And this looks really, really good for Pedro on the scoreboard. Plus 21 for the player with the patriotic Portuguese red meeples. Alchemist with his deceitful, slick, stylish black is trailing. But he is trying to maintain control over a little field, which is not going to work as Foam gets a city cap and connect his 3-point farmer to the 12-point farmer of the Alchemist. And Horacio is trying to risk his last meeple, trying to get the 8-point for the monastery, hoping to draw soon the tile that will allow him to get the 9-point and get the meeple back. The only problem is that such a tile does not exist. All 5 vanillas, all 5 triangles are on the board, and so are both splitters, so this square is permanently blocked. And as wonderful this idea looks, it just is not achievable. It is still a good move, because simply in the end game you just can't score all that much. But 8 points is what this meeple is going to be capped at. Both players realizing how this game is going to end, and they're trying to prepare mentally for the next one in this best of 3 series. Dagger tile for Foam. Seems like a good idea to meeple a new city, spend his last meeple, and finally gets an extra point from said city. Quite convincing win here from Pedro, who apparently achieved it by blocking a lot of Horacio's meeples. As we can see, right in the center there was this one nasty square here, and then Red had free reign to get quick points, to get the main field in the game, and just take it from there. So, how will the World Championship runner-up respond? We will find out in a couple of minutes. Hi Glavier, we have some Portuguese fans in the chat. Do we have some Uruguayan fans as well? Nearly 40 points advantage. But you know, it doesn't matter. 40-point win, 1-point win. It is all the same. Alrighty, so possibly the last game tonight, possibly not. And the Alchemist is going to try and do everything in his power to prevent this from being the last game. And it's a good start. He has the starting player advantage with his black meeples. He claims a 4-point city and instantly transfers the points to his scoreboard. Gets another city cap like he loves to do. And Foam just needs to make do with his road tiles, trying to be efficient, gets 2 separate roads. The idea, of course, is to cover up all segments which are attaching to a road end. Yeah, and Foam is trying to be really, really efficient again, continuing his road like this and also starting a new city. The Alchemist gets yet another 8 points on the scoreboard. But the first monastery of the game goes to Pedro. And unfortunately here, Horacio probably does not know a tactic. With a move like this, which you're supposed to do, you're supposed to go here with a meeple in order to not allow Pedro to do stuff like this. It's something that not many players are actually aware of. And most players do something what Black just did, kind of a more peaceful move, equalizing the city of Red at the top. And this, of course, invites variance into the game. And Foam seems to be now on the better side of this variance. Of course, he's still behind on the scoreboard. He's still going to be behind in statistically in the end game. But these monasteries are just so exceptionally powerful. And he does a great job of building them up. So much so that the alchemist chooses to help him out a little bit, simply to take away that dangerous spot in the center. Yeah, Foam now gets himself back on the scoreboard, and now I genuinely prefer this position for red more than I prefer black. Prefer so for black. Too many words in that sentence, but you know exactly what I was trying to say. Slight advantage red here. So, what is Foam going to do here as the alchemist decides to unify the cities? Yeah, it's quite interesting from Red's perspective. Do we want to invade that city? Pedro says no. I agree with him. I think he found the best possible move, starting a new city somewhere and leaving a city cap in a covered up position. Just didn't end up working, and now he's going to go for the road. That's interesting. That actually makes some sense. To try and equalize the road of the alchemist, and this is all fun and well, but this allows the Uruguayan to get himself the first meeple on the farm. Immediately, of course, Red equalizes on the left, dropping a farmer of his own and almost equalizing the scoreboard, but a monastery completed for Horacio is going to put him in the lead again. But look at this. The monasteries of Red are very powerful. The fields are going to be equalized, and Horacio plays a decent move, which I think is the second best move in this position. So the idea to start a city at the bottom, very nice. And he's now trying to finish the city and drop a farmer. Foam tries to prevent him from doing so. But an idea that I would have loved was actually going over here and trying to meeple this bigger city instead, and also preventing Red from finishing his monastery and meepling the city upon completion of said monastery. Instead, we have a different idea entirely. So Black sees these here advantages. Okay, Black now goes for the city, but the city now gets broken. It's not such a big deal. Not such a big deal. But a little bit unpleasant because he does not have any meeples. And now Pedro's actually just not going to bother going over here. He's just going to continue the city of his own. Yeah, so basically I was saying that Horacio sees the... What are you doing, Pedro? This is just... this man has no self-preservation instinct. Yeah, our opponent has no meeples. Let us give him a shielded tile and a threat of completing a big city. I would... Pedro, man, you're gonna give your Portuguese friends a heart attack with moves like this. Pedro says, don't worry, everything is under control. I'm gonna give away the shielded tile, but then later I'm gonna block this city. And he does indeed do so. There are no tiles that fit into the square at all. So that's nice for the Portuguese player. And this leaves Red with a long-term meeple advantage. And looking at how juicy this field looks with 5 completed cities on it, a meeple advantage seems absolutely fantastic. The only issue that I have right now is that Foam gave 2 meeples back to the alchemist. He still has the meeple advantage, of course, because he gave 2 meeples back to himself, but 5 against 4 is not much of a meeple advantage. 3 against 2 or 2 against 1, now that's a meeple advantage. Interesting. Horacio decides to meeple 1 point city. And Pedro decides to take a 4-point road, which also connects him to the farm. Horacio now is going to continue his city and maybe even drop another farmer, but not yet. He's a bit cautious about the prospect of potentially getting blocked. His intention is to finish the city at the bottom and drop a farmer later. A monastery tile for the Uruguayan for 8 points. Still plenty of curves, 5 curves exactly to complete it. And for Pedro, he's going to get himself a shielded tile. Maybe he's going to put it into his opponent's city again, just for fun, just as he loves doing. Or maybe he's going to go over here and start a new city and try to open a blocking platform against the monastery. And this is exactly what he does. But a fantastic tile for the Uruguayan, who can now break that. See? I can't. Okay, this is a big mistakes, unfortunately for my Uruguayan fans, because red could have gotten himself the advantage. Green could have gotten himself, black could have gotten himself with the advantage. With one simple move, you take this cow, you add it to your opponent's city, and the city is permanently blocked. Very simple. And you don't allow stuff like this. Now, foam is still 9 points ahead on the scoreboard. And I guess this sort of stuff cancel each other out. But, like, how is the Alchemist going to come back from this? He needs to finish the city and drop a farmer. And he's not going to finish the city because his city is now getting broken. So he now starts dropping, basically pre-building roads and stuff. And he tries to gamble. He tries to get himself a tile like this, which makes a lot of sense, actually. So, if you're Horacio here, you see that your opponent is also spending meeples on trying to get some points on the right, which from red's perspective does make sense. Yes, and Horacio decides to do a strong move in this case. He's waiting for one of the 3 remaining straight lines to score 6 points for the road and try to make it into the field like this. No, but and he's going to get blocked, and he does not defend. This is so risky. Horacio. Anyway, but this is a beautiful move here from black, right? He's going to get this straight line. Well, he's not going to get this straight line. Red is going to get this straight line, but black maybe is going to get another straight line. There's still 2 of those remaining in the deck, and black can go here and score 6 points and then make his entry into this 15-point farm, which would put him into the lead in this game. This move is just asking for trouble. Yes, it's 4 points. It's very nice, but much stronger was taking... What am I doing? But much stronger was taking 2 points over here and going for the, first of all, the indirect defense, making it harder for our opponent to draw something like a Dorito tile and blocking the square permanently, which would be a disaster for us. Ooh. Yeah, but we're not done. We're not done. Okay. And then also there were chances to get these 4 points anyway by continuing our ruined city to the right like this. Anyway, also this move, it creates some attacking platforms because now somebody can drop, red in particular can get a Dorito tile, drop a farmer here, reinvade the field again. So very, very risky enterprises here. The Uruguayan in the chat were but ended up kind of working out for him. Anyway. Whew. Yeah, and Pedro just makes it into the field anyway, so poor Horacio and no meeples. And lots of sadness. But you know what? Even with this blocked farmer on the right, the game was still winnable, because imagine this. If black, well, one just scores 6 points over here, 3 for the road and 3 extra for expanding his farm, black still can city tile which he did permanently, and then invade with his last farmer somewhere else. So black could have had his cake and eat it too. And eaten it too, I guess. Could have had his cake. That was how he was supposed to say it. Now we're going to see some points being counted. Pedro is going to win here despite having 3 points fewer. Main farm is equal. Just look at the tournament situation real quick. So what is going to happen in Q3? So Foam is going to be playing Ernie or Lord Trooper, right? Yes, this is... No. Foam is going to play not Ernie or Lord Trooper. Foam is going to play somebody of these guys. So somebody of the losers of this here duels. Maybe it's going to be either Smile or Nice Dicer. These are the guys whom we're going to show to you on Friday. I think the situation of the tournament is pretty straightforward. No need to talk more about it. You can just see again all the participants whom we started with. Several of them have been eliminated. There you have your other Argentinian master, Big Nacho 6110, who lost now to Blue Stain, will be playing against Edinidad in the lower bracket. Anyway, let's go back to this and just make some plans for the near future. So this concludes our day of Carcassonne. 2 matches, 2 victories, 1 elimination, and 1 Latvian life made a little bit more difficult than some others at the moment. So our next order of business is tomorrow. This match is the absolute banger of the week. I want to see all of y'all working from home in air quotes. Try to make any sort of excuse to attend this. Rabbit Rain against David Bourdois from Catalonia with an average peak rating of like 780 something. This is going to be quite a showdown, and this is going to be quite the sprint, as Smile Hyphen, the fastest player in Ukraine, will be playing a reasonably paced Belgian expert in the European evening of tomorrow. Plans for Saturday are to be announced later. The one thing that I can say that I'm definitely planning to cover, Napalm versus Tomaszek. Hopefully my other teammate manages to make it a little bit further into this qualification, at least for now. So stay tuned, because matches are scheduled at a short notice. Streams are also scheduled at a short notice, which also means that you have to subscribe and click the bell notification icon if you want to stay up to date to the streams that are happening. And of course, before leaving, make sure that you leave a little meeple on the like button for the algorithm. It helps more than y'all might think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.